Mario 64. Oh, where do I begin? When Nintendo was making their Nintendo 64, the Sony PlayStation, a system that Nintendo accidentally helped make, mind you, was looking into disc-based gaming. Nintendo decided to go with cartridges instead, split ties with Sony, creating their most powerful rival. With Crash Bandicoot right on the horizon, and both Sega and Sony doing disc-based gaming, Nintendo had to prove their 3D console could compete, and their idea for this was Mario. And Pilot Wings, but you know, Mario! The one who innovated the 2D platforming was now going to innovate the 3D platforming as well. But we already know how this happened. Super Mario 64 is a classic, not only in the N64 lineup, but in 3D gaming history in general. The biggest question is, how does it hold up today? Did Bowser really take over Princess Peach's castle? Does the game hold up? Can Mario win again? It's me, Sauron! This time we are going into friendly territory. Let's take on Princess Peach's castle! Let's go! Instead of kidnapping the princess, which hasn't worked several times now, Bowser put her under house arrest and took away the batteries to her toys, the Power Stars. So now Princess Peach is stuck in her own castle, but luckily for the dipstick in pink, she happened to have sent a letter to Mario inviting him to the castle, bribing the fat plumber with cake. Outside of that, all the plot is about each individual world you happen to be in. Bob-Omb Battlefield is in an ongoing war with pink Bob-Ombs and the King of the Black Ones. Another example is the Lethal Lava World, which we find what happens when Peach leaves her oven running because she got kidnapped again. Anyway, you find some, and I mean bare bones some, plot in either the game or each world, sadly. Peach is under house arrest. I figure I can rescue her while finding treasure like coins and Power Stars by raiding her taken over castle. Forget the princess. I'm after the treasure. Still, while there just isn't much way of the plot, having something simple for Mario, but different enough to not be taken over Bowser's castle again, is a nice change of pace while keeping things simple for the jump to 3D. Not bad, honestly. But if the plot is simple, you can imagine Mario is too. After all, Mario loves pasta and apparently cake. That's it. Peach is oddly noble acting in this game, considering how she acts in other games, but it kind of works, as she had no character in the previous games. Oddly, there are a bunch of other characters in this game, the pink Bob-Ombs who are friendly and helpful to Mario, as he stopped King Bob-Omb for them. Koopa the Quick, who wants to prove he is the fastest. A Wiggler who goes a little nuts due to a Power Star. While it may seem like there are many characters, there isn't exactly depth in many of these characters. Like the world's worst penguin mom is just that. The worst mother ever. The characters are hardly Oscar-worthy and add very little anything overall, other than to add a star and a mission to the game itself. It's nice to see so many characters added to a Mario game, but a bit of decent writing could have helped the situation out a lot. It adds an excuse for some nice gameplay. Speaking of the gameplay, because that's just totally natural transition here, Mario can run and jump in large 3 dimensions, which is nice. Even better, Mario can not only jump, he can use a double jump, and even a triple jump to gain height. Mario can bounce off walls now to gain extra height in tight situations, called the wall jump. How original. And if you crouch down, you can even backflip with a strong jump higher than a typical jump, called the backwards jump, or the somersault jump. Speaking of somersaults, you can even do a side somersault by walking in one direction and quickly changing directions. Jump, jump, jump. Mario can also punch, break dance, and jump kick. But for the most part, jumping on enemies works, and when that doesn't work, you can ground pound foes from the air, which also works on tree stumps, and is a move that Mario actually stole from Bowser from Super Mario Bros. 3. Mario can also long jump and dash jump for added quickness. More jumps. I know. Real original. His name is Jumpman, come on. All of this works incredibly well, and while it sounds difficult, there are things you will mostly learn, pick up either by gameplay or signposts, which are freaking everywhere. Believe me, you couldn't miss them. Either way, if I had to cite a negative, it would probably be the camera, which is really odd if you think about it, because the camera was hailed for being the most innovative thing about Super Mario 64 in its lifespan, and it's probably the thing that's aged the worst. That and flight controls. Okay, once again, Mario has power-ups. This time it's in the form of hats? Yeah, hats. The thing nobody likes on me. But I'll get there later. There are invisibility caps, which makes Mario slightly invisible, invulnerable, and can pass through certain fences. There is the metal cap, which makes Mario invincible and super heavy, able to walk underwater, and can, for some odd reason, breathe underwater. Huh. Then there is the flight cap, which allows Mario to fly. Or rather, glide if you triple jump or shoot yourself out of a cannon. Yes, you can shoot yourself out of cannons in this game. I guess before Mario was a plumber, he was an acrobat in a circus. Which explains his monkey owning back to the original Donkey Kong. Anyway, to wrap this all up, the power-ups Mario has in this game are really just not useful outside of very specific stars. Gliding is even worse, as while you can glide around the world that have the flying caps, the controls for gliding are worse than the camera. This isn't too bad if you don't need to gather small objects like coins, which is what you have to do every stinking time you're wearing the damn thing. While control is iffy at best, the controls in the flight aren't exactly bad, they just aren't built for the precise actions like gathering coins. Almost more of a issue for level design, frankly. Now I'll have to start with the bad, since I've already brought up the bad on the levels. There are some missions that require some precise actions of Mario that can be tricky at best. This isn't just associated with some certain missions, but just some general levels as well. The later levels are difficult with small moving platforms most times, and instant death to those who fail to land perfectly, or at least some damage taken, if you're lucky. The main issue is the level design not really taking account for the camera. When the camera won't turn in the right direction, making some jumps just becomes more and more difficult. While the later levels are difficult more due to frustrating level design, this only really accounts for maybe 3 levels and a few areas in other levels as well. The rest of the levels are actually really decent in design. They have a decent challenge for any of the star missions, jumping from platform to platform in each setting, dodging lava, bombs, walls, water, eels, penguins. Yeah, a penguin. He'll push you off to death if you are beating him in a race. But not everyone wants to kill you. But there is a lot to keep you from those power stars. While the levels are nicely designed, the boss fights are something to desire. The closest is Bowser and a chain Chomp, as you free the Chomp and throw Bowser at bombs, which I guess can be challenging. The rest of the boss fights are incredibly easy, or more of a stage obstacle like King Womp, or a giant eel with a star on its tail. There is a real rare boss fight, but it is often either short-lived or just too easy. Still, since there are so few boss fights to begin with, this isn't really much of an issue, unless you absolutely have to have a boss fight in your video game. If you do, steer clear of Mario 64, because you ain't gonna like it. The levels are for the most part designed pretty well. There are a few hiccups that can't be ignored that cause issues merged with the smaller issues with the camera and the gameplay. Luckily, unless you like side quests, you don't have to collect every power star, allowing you to skip later levels entirely until the last stage towards Bowser, which, unlike some of the later levels, is a fair challenge and really fun. Speaking of side quests, there aren't traditional side quests in Mario 64, but there are a few secrets. For starters, there are a few secret areas like the princess's secret slide, which is a funny thing to think the princess has a secret slide. Or 2, or 3, or 5 for crap's sake, since there are a couple stars on slides in some of the levels as well. Hey, so much for being all royal and official, huh? There are a few more areas to find as well, some with large switches unlocking the previously mentioned power-ups, as those need to be unlocked to gather certain power stars. But all 3 power-ups are in secret areas with their own secret power stars that are unlocked with the red coin challenge. There are a few other secret red coin challenges to find as well. There is also a hidden power star in each regular world as well if you manage to collect 100 coins, including the red coins, which is worth 2 regular coins, and secret blue coins, which is worth 5 regular coins, which appear if you hit a switch, but only for a limited time. These challenges can be pretty easy to incredibly difficult, especially on the later worlds, as the limited time blue coins are needed to reach the 100 coin point. Why is it important to gather 100 coin stars? They aren't needed to beat Bowser, nor is the red coin challenge stars in Bowser's 3 areas either. Well, there is a bit of a reward for finding all the stars. See, when you find all of them, a cannon opens up in the castle courtyard, allowing you to get to the roof of the castle. What's up there? Yoshi! Yeah, go figure, lazy-ass dinosaur. I guess Super Mario World was too exhausting for the green ride. Anyway, all he does is give you 100 free lives and gets the heck out of there, leaving a winged cap box for you to mess around with, and that's it. While 100 lives seems really nice, there is literally nothing else left to do. You literally beat the entire game despite rumors Luigi's in the game. Spoiler warning, he isn't. L from Death Note isn't either, although maybe that possible message in the castle yard was for him? Mystery solved, right? Anyway, with 100 lives and little else to do, that kind of ends the game. Since the power stars you don't have to get vary on how fun they are in the first place, this creates a bit of an issue. There is a challenge and plenty to do after Bowser is beaten. There is a reward for rising to the challenge, but the reward itself is lackluster, and the challenge to get the secret stars, and especially the 100 coin stars, can be an absolute pain. Overall, Super Mario 64 is a classic game that has a few issues due to the age of the game. The camera that was once revolutionary is a bit aged by now, and there are some level design flaws that are more and more obvious as time passes. However, the game is easily still a really good game. Gameplay works rather well, most of the levels are pretty good, and there's still plenty to do and see for a Mario game, as well as a decent but simple story for Mario. I mean, sure, it's not Shakespeare, but it's freaking Mario. If you're really expecting Shakespeare, you need to find yourself a better hobby than gaming. Sorry. The amount of characters in the game is pretty decent, but they all have simplistic writing and only serve to function a few plot elements and give you a short missions for some stars. The rewards for getting all the stars is a little lackluster for some of the challenges you may face along the journey. Unless you're a hoarder. Hey! I only Well, fine, I'm a treasure hunter. I like collecting things. Yes, I enjoy getting all 120 stars, but it isn't for everyone. Mario 64 is a good game, and honestly, it has a legacy about it. So it should be noted that if you haven't played it, it already comes recommended anyway, especially if you like platforming. But frankly, without that, it comes to a 7 out of 10 for me. It still holds up pretty well and is a decent game, but it isn't something you need to rush out and get either. Call it a try it, meaning you should try the game at some point in your life if you are wanting to get into gaming, and if you are thinking about getting a 3D Mario game, it isn't the worst place to begin. With that being said, we aren't done with Super Mario 64, as there was a remake of it created for the DS. So next we will be looking at what is a different version to see if there are any real reasons to play the DS version, or perhaps even find a reason to play the DS remake over the original? We'll see next time on Sauron Takes On! If you enjoyed the episode, please hit that like and subscribe button to see more of my opinions and views. And I'm also on Twitter and Facebook. Have a great night. Take care. Until next time, my minions. So, I don't have the capability of making an end card quite yet. But I'll have you guys know that I have a lot of treasure from this little adventure. I have 120 power stars, 184 red coins, over 1,500 regular coins. King Bob-Omb was stomped on. Giant Wiggler was defeated. King Chomp has been destroyed by my hands, and Bowser has been defeated 3 times. Plus wing cap, metal caps, and invisible caps for everyone. Ha ha ha! Ha ha ha! Hee hee! Ho ho! I might have taken the giant Chomp too, the chain Chomp at the front gate. I'm building my power. See if you can try and stop me next time, Bowser. Because I'll even be more powerful then. Bye-bye.